How are y'all doing today? It's Jacob Reid coming back at you guys with part 6 of the Cincinnati Bengals Relocation franchise here on Madden 19. And today we're doing a little bit of a different episode, hopefully a little bit shorter, just to get you guys caught up if for some reason you missed one of the previous episodes or you've fallen behind on the series. Today we're going to do the quarter season recap with 4 games down here in the Bengals Relocation franchise. We're going to go over some stats. We're going to pick our relocation city based on the poll that I took on Twitter for you guys. And then hopefully give you guys an option if I believe it is the name that's going to pop up next. Hopefully we'll get an option for that. That might come in the next episode depending on what this triggers right here. I believe it will take a week. But we'll go over what's happened with the team so far, all of the storylines, and then we're going to go ahead and just show you guys some stats for the team and stats around the league. And just kind of jump in, do a little bit of a deep dive, what everything looks like a quarter of the way through the season here. And just kind of update you guys with everything that's been happening. So first things first, I know what you've all been waiting for. We're going to go ahead and pick our relocation city. So I didn't actually get a whole lot of feedback on this one on Twitter. Not as much interest as I did the first time I put out a Twitter poll for this franchise. So I'm actually going to go ahead. I got 3 responses. One of them was a joke response from one of my friends. One of them was a confirmation that we should pick Toronto. And then another one was somebody that selected the other category on the poll, but didn't list what city they wanted to go with. So the poll had Toronto, I had Dublin, I had Memphis, and then other. Please list your other city below, and the person didn't put that. So I think that the one that I've wanted to do the most, that I think there are some pretty interesting teams up here and some interesting uniforms to choose from, so we're going to have some nice options, is Toronto. Now, it's got a large market size and a loyal personality, which is exactly what we're looking for an NFL franchise, especially for a team that is quite often in contention for playoff spots, and hopefully we're kind of building a new reality for this team and a new look for this team. So I think moving up to Toronto, being the first Canadian NFL team, is going to bode well for us. It's going to draw in a lot of fans. I think a lot of people from Canada are going to be extremely happy to have an NFL team up there, and it's going to give them somebody to really root for, a hometown team. So I like this a lot. It's not a far move for the Bengals, and it keeps us right up there in AFC North territory, which I think works out quite well. A lot of those other options were quite far away, and the one that I did like, I actually like Dublin the most. But location-wise, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, overseas just doesn't make sense for the NFL from a logistics standpoint, so we're not going to go with Dublin, and I think we're going to go ahead and pick Toronto. So what Toronto does is it gives us a few options of teams, and we'll see those in the next episode. There's going to be the Huskies, the Mounties, and I'm not sure what the third option is, but I believe at least the Huskies and the Mounties have really what I think would be fitting names for the first Canadian NFL team, and their uniforms are both very nice. So there are going to be some good options there for us to pick from. But with that being said, let's go ahead and answer this media question that popped up due to our city change and just see what the reporter has to say. So the reporter's asking us, you're officially moving this franchise after the season, but why do you assume you'll be more successful there than here? So our options are because it's good business, and we'll now head to a much bigger football market, which is important for the health of the franchise. At the end of the day, it was hard to get free agents to come here. We'll have a new stadium in a new city, so it becomes an easier sell. I get that many of our fans are upset, but long-term, this move allows us to bring in a whole new generation of fans. So realistically, I could go with any one of these answers. I think the majority of it, to be honest with you, is just that we're trying to bring in a new generation of fans. We're trying to have a new look to this team, a new culture, basically a new organization. So I like the idea of saying that we're trying to bring in a whole new generation of new fans. And then this effect down here at the bottom, plus 2% per win and minus 5% per loss in the new city, that's not going to affect us too much because we're planning on being successful whenever we hit the new city. Especially with the storyline that I'm going to go ahead and talk about now, where we ended up having to start Will Greer, or we actually put up a Twitter poll and everybody voted, the majority voted by a landslide that we should start Will Greer over Andy Dalton. And that arose because in week 3, Andy Dalton went down with a minor injury towards the end of the game, and Will Grier came in and performed at an admirable level. He did miss a few passes and everything, but it raised a valid question. It's time to move on from Andy Dalton at some point in the near future, and I let you guys decide. You guys decided we're going to move on from Andy Dalton, start Will Grier, and we gave him a different look here. We fixed up a lot of numbers on the team, so that is something I wanted to talk about, how I've been messing up numbers quite a bit when I'm playing. We fixed some numbers and everything. We gave Will Grier his updated look. He doesn't have the long hair anymore. So that's kind of the storyline there. We ended up trading away Andy Dalton and packaged him with Sean Williams, the strong safety, and sent him over to the Washington Redskins for what amounted to, I believe, a first and a third round pick. So not a bad return for what we were getting out of those players. Sean Williams was 28. He was a good player, but didn't have a big impact for us, and we didn't really miss him in our last game. Monte Nicholson performed admirably in his spot, and we haven't missed Andy Dalton since either. Will Grier performed decently well in his spot. We just had a tough time against the Jaguars because the Jaguars defense is good. We did manage to come away with a the Browns. We managed to come away with a 6-3 win against the Browns, and that puts us firmly in second spot, right behind the Steelers in the division. So as you can see, the Steelers are 4-0. It depends on how you look at it in terms of Madden. That's not much of a surprise because the team is so good. And in reality, we managed to sneak out a win against the Browns and the Ravens, so that's the only reason they're both 2-2. And when I say we managed to sneak out wins, man, we managed to sneak out wins against these teams. Week 1, we ended up getting trounced by Seattle. No big surprise there, considering the fact that we just kind of struggled. It was our first game in the new formation offensively, new formation defensively, and we really struggled. Week 2 against the Jets, we were able to put up a lot of points on offense. 35-21. It was just a good game against a relatively low-end team, and we were able to come away with a nice win there. The Ravens was a close game, but there's not much else to expect whenever you're playing the Ravens, or the Browns for that matter, in a tough divisional matchup. 13-3 and 6-3 in back-to-back weeks there. Close victories, and I expect us to have maybe a tough road going forward. We've got the Jaguars, which is going to be tough for us because that's a really good defense and potentially a really good team. The Bills, we should be able to beat, in my opinion. The Browns, I don't know if we'll be able to get 2 wins against them. We were able to keep their offense in check the first time around here in week 4, but I could see them exploding for a lot of offense at any given time. So, like I said, it's going to be tough to try and beat them twice in 1 year. The Dolphins we may be able to beat, but then we come across the Steelers twice in 3 weeks, which is going to be a tough task for us, followed by the Patriots. Then we're in Baltimore. Then we travel down south to face Arizona in Arizona, and then we have the 49ers coming to town and the Rams coming to town. So we finish off our season with a tough game against the Rams there. I could see us taking a few losses here and there, but honestly, we put ourselves in a decent position by squeaking out these wins early on. So we may make a playoff run here this year. We weren't counting on it early, and the team still isn't performing up to the level that we would exactly like them to be. But as you can see, offensively, we're not doing too bad. I mean, we have the 31st offense in the NFL, which is bad, but defensively, 736 yards, first in the entire NFL, which is actually realistically pretty good. Now, stats-wise, here's what we got. Will Grier is 17 for 28 through his 1 and a quarter starts. 60% completion, no touchdowns, no interceptions, so really a decent stat line. Nothing to complain about there. And then rushing-wise, Joe Mixon has been doing pretty well on the season. 76 yards per game, 304 total on the season, 5.6 average, and 3 touchdowns. Just a pretty good performance for him. Now, we haven't gotten a whole lot out of Giovanni Bernard. Now, he hasn't played a whole lot, but I would like a true backup running back that I could really kind of plug in there and play. And that might be Bo Scarborough. I know his rushing average here is bad, but that's because we kind of used him out of some tough sets. So we might consider trading away Giovanni Bernard here at the trade deadline, just because he has some value left, and he would be better utilized on another team where he would get more reps than he's getting here. I'm just not utilizing him the way that I think that a team should, and I'm not going to really utilize him the way that he deserves, so I feel like doing him a favor might be a good idea to trade him away to another team. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think we should do with Giovanni Bernard. Moving forward here, he's definitely a trade piece that we're looking to trade away potentially. Maybe maybe get another draft pick back in return. Just build up for this draft coming up this season. Now, wide receiving wise, nobody really stands out. John Ross has been doing a nice job. We've been playing him out of the slot primarily. He has 143 yards through 4 games, which really isn't that good. I mean, as you guys can see, average per game numbers aren't very good for any of these guys, but I expect these numbers to start going up once we get some easier matchups in here, and once the rookie really settles in and starts finding his rhythm. So, I mean, we have been doing a good job of spreading the ball around. As you can see, pretty even catch numbers all the way around. 9 for Tyler Boyd being our pretty much go-to guy, followed by A.J. Green, which is no surprise there. Uzuma doing a nice job at tight end with 7 catches, then Deebo Samuel and John Ross kind of following up there behind there, and Joe Mixon actually doing a half-decent job out of the backfield, catching balls when we need him to. And then we've been getting the fullback actually involved in the action, which kind of goes back to a video I just made on my channel about how a lot of people underuse the fullback and underrate him and don't necessarily pay attention to their value. The fullback's been kind of valuable for us so far. Blocking-wise, let's see who has allowed any sacks. We've only had 2 sacks allowed credited to our offensive line, and that was Jake Fisher and Billy Price. Now, Billy Price is having some growing pains, but he's only a second-year guy. I expect him to get better pretty quickly. But Jake Fisher's been around for a while. He's only playing backup left tackle. Essentially speaking, Trent Brown went down with an injury last game, and Jake Fisher came in for him. Jake Fisher promptly gave up a sack. Not that big of a deal. I mean, he's a backup offensive lineman, so I can't, discount. I can't really be angry about it that much. Now, the star players across our defense so far have been no surprise. Star player so far, actually, I mean, it's been a little bit of a surprise. He was our big free agent pickup, and we paid him big on a 1-year deal. Mark Barron doing absolutely phenomenal on defense. Leads the team in tackles. Leads the team in tackles for loss, I believe, with 4. Yeah, and then he also has a sack to his name and has an interception return for an 89-yard touchdown, also credited to his name. So he's been basically our star here on defense so far. Jesse Bates doing a nice job, as well as the free safety on the team, roaming around deep in the backfield of the defense, doing a good job back there. Darquez Denard, as I said, bringing him back was a good decision. He's just played well out at that corner position. Preston Brown doing a decent job, but I still think we might consider trading him away as well, because he's slow and not performing up to the level that I really want him to be playing to. Josh Allen, the rookie, finally got his first sack last week. We're having growing pains with him. We're hoping to get him involved in the action more often. Geno Atkins hasn't gotten a sack yet, but decent production with 7 tackles from the defensive tackle position. William Jackson, not much to say about him. I mean, he's had a lot of passes deflected. He's number 22. Whenever you guys hear me calling out number 22 and I'm confused as to who that is, that's William Jackson. Call me out for that down in the comment section whenever I mess up his name and say, oh, who's 22? I don't even remember who 22 is, because I feel like I've said that in every single video. Vontez Burfict, having not started the first 2 games, I believe it is, coming up with 5 tackles, doing a decent job. But other than that, I mean, nobody's really outperforming their production, their projected production or anything. We would like to get more production out of these guys, but I mean, how much production can you expect when you're still the number 1 defense in the league? So I can't complain too much. Now, kicking-wise, Cole Tracy, 6 for 8 on the season. Not the best. That has hurt us a little bit. We would have 6 more points as an offense if Cole Tracy would have done a better job. That's our rookie that we drafted out of LSU. Honestly, a decent kicker, but, young, inaccurate, and costing us a little bit. Punting-wise, we're doing a nice job average-wise. 53 yards per punt is pretty good. Kick return-wise, we don't have anybody that's doing phenomenal. I mean, everybody's around 28, 29, 30 yards per carry, which is not bad. John Ross, the primary kick returner, so can't complain with those numbers. That's about where you want them to be. But the number I do like to see, and I'd like to get more punt returns, but it seems like we've been getting a lot of punts out of bounds or fair catches. John Ross, 22 yards per punt return, which is really good. And I usually do pretty well punt returning. That's one of my better skill sets in the game. So I would expect to see good numbers there. Now, the one thing I do want to check, because we are probably close to being up there at the top of the league in terms of rushing yards, let's check just to see where Joe Mixon lies in terms of the rest of the league. So if we go by rushing yards, Joe Mixon's going to be top 10 up here. So what does that put him at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the league in rushing behind Kerryon Johnson, Josh Adams, Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, and Ezekiel Elliott. So that's good company up there. Josh Adams really a surprise. The second-year guy for the Carolina Panthers, really not a good overall player. He's only a 73, so I'm really surprised that he's doing that well. But hey, good for them. Good for the Panthers. Confused why he's doing so much better than Christian McCaffrey. Maybe McCaffrey's injured, but who knows at that point. Just looking around the league, some of the other leaders, Matt Ryan leading in passing, followed up by Tom Brady. Tom Brady did not retire. Dwayne Haskins, the rookie for the Cardinals, doing a good job. So we do face them later this year. That could be a tough matchup for us. And then usual names up here, Drew Brees, Marcus Mariota actually in the mix with Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, some guys like that. Rushing-wise, we already went over that, and we'll go over receiving yardage. Albert Wilson, a surprise wide receiver leader, going in here to week 5. Actually, a couple surprises up here at the top. Albert Wilson, Michael Crabtree leading the league, and Rob Gronkowski coming in 3rd. And actually, I'm looking at reception numbers. That's incorrect. I should be looking at reception totals, which actually comes to Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate, and Jordy Nelson. Although Albert Wilson is still up there, and so is Michael Crabtree. So interesting numbers, some interesting numbers going on across the league here. Definitely interesting so far. Now let me go over a couple things in terms of number changes. Offensive line stayed the same. Basically, most of the offense stayed the same. Will Greer, we decided to change to QB number 7 because that is the number that I found that he wore in college. So we changed him from what I believe he was 8 to number 7 to look appropriate. Jeff Driscoll stayed at, I believe it was number 6. Yeah, number 6. And then Tyree Jackson, we ended up picking up as our backup quarterback, is wearing number 3. Now, at fullback, we changed George Aston so that he is wearing number 46 as the fullback position. And then on defense, to distinguish our safety, we left Jesse Bates where he's at, and he's wearing 30. So that 30 number is kind of unique, kind of sticks out for us. But Monte Nicholson, we switched to 44 just to be a unique number, just to kind of mix it up. We have a 30, a 40, and we'll kind of be able to know the difference between everybody. Obviously, William Jackson is number 22, and then I'm going to remember that Darqueze Dennard is number 21. That is my favorite number, so I should know that he's number 21, and Levi Wallace is number 27. So I'm going to do my best to remember those numbers from here on out. But yeah, let me know down in the comments section what you think of what has happened so far, the storyline so far, and what we're doing with this team to kind of morph them into what we want them to be next season. I want you guys to give me your feedback, so please, right now, leave a like on the video and go down in the comment section and let me know what we should do with these couple guys that could be on the trade block. Let me know what we should do with Giovanni Bernard. Should we trade him away? I know there's teams that could certainly use him. I'm not against trading him away and just using Walton Jr. and Bo Scarborough as our backup halfbacks. And then there are a couple other guys that I'm definitely considering trading away. Let me know what we should do with Preston Brown, Vontaze Burfict. Should we get rid of some of these guys and just start Malik Jefferson, even though he's not, playing particularly well or anything? Just let me know what you guys think we should do. I'm definitely open to any suggestions, and let me know if we should trade away Sam Hubbard, because Sam Hubbard has quick potential, and it's really just being wasted behind the other defensive linemen. So we could certainly use him as a trade piece. I believe we could trade these guys away. We could even bring back a player. We haven't brought back a player in any of our trades so far. So if there's a player you guys want me to go out and get that you think would complement this team really well, that you think we could realistically get with a package of, a combination of Giovanni Bernard, Preston Brown, Vontaze Burfict, or Sam Hubbard, let me know what you guys think would be realistic. So that's where we're at franchise-wise so far. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the franchise up to this point. I hope that you guys continue to follow the franchise. I will be back in the next episode with this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 1-3, but I expect it to be a tough game because that defense is tough. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, rest of your night, wherever you're at, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.